Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to Classically Weird. My name is Headmaster Howard,
And I am Regana Ray.
and today we are venturing through the world of The Shining. Now, The Shining is a movie that has sparked countless fan videos and analysis and deep dives and stuff over the years. It was really fun revisiting this, in my opinion. This is one of my favorite horror classics of all time. This does rank really high on the list for me.
Really, why is that?
Well, one, I'm a fan of Stephen King works, but I'm also a fan of Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick was a phenomenal director. He was a questionable human being at times. Honestly, the artistic works that he was able to put out as a director were really instrumental in getting me personally interested in the arts.
Okay.
What about you? How's this rank for you?
It's up there. It's up there. As we rewatched it again, it just reminded me how much I like Dr. Sleep.
Would you say that you're more of a fan of Doctor Sleep or The Shining?
Dr. Sleep.
That was a quick answer. Okay. All right. And one I could definitely see from you. We'll have to get that worked into the list.
2027.
Now, as I've mentioned already, this was brought to us by Stanley Kubrick. This was based on the 1977 novel called The Shining by Stephen King. Stanley Kubrick and Diane Johnson wrote the screenplay for this. And the movie was released May 23rd, 1980. So, right before your birthday.
Oh, like right before my birthday.
Right before.
I'm laughing because actually May 23rd is somebody that I grew up, it's their birthday. So I was like, oh, hey. And oh, wait, she's also a Gemini. She's a May Gemini. I'm a June Gemini.
This was put out by Warner Brothers. And the runtime is roughly about 2
hours and 23 minutes. Only because we just watched it. It is, the thing about this movie for me is that the scenery, along with the heavy snowstorms and the sound of winds and the music in it, makes me sleepy.
This is one of those, like, the ambience, the atmosphere.
Oh, gosh. We were sitting in the dark watching it, and I had a kitty cat on my feet and a little blanket, and I was like, sir, oh, wait, wake up, hold on, he's getting ready to hatchet somebody.
Yeah, if you were to take out some of the scary elements of this could make one of those great, like, YouTube go to sleep videos.
It really could. I mean, just that whirling wind, and you're looking at the mountains. Even when they're driving, the opening scene of just driving through the mountains to get to the Overlook is quite relaxing.
I think it's safe to say that this is a movie that I would definitely recommend for people. What about you?
I would recommend it. It is definitely one. It's Stephen King, so it's based off of his book. There was a lot of changes that were made from the book to the 1980s movie.
A lot
of
changes.
To the point where I even saw that Stephen King hates it.
Yes, and that's something that I'm going to discuss pretty heavily in the spoiler section.
Okay.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say yes. In movies, that it was a really well done, worthy of seeing classic horror cinema.
If you haven't seen it already, this came out in 1980. What are you doing? But besides that, you can find this on some streaming platforms. Peacock, it is available on. We saw this on Amazon Prime. We did rent it on Amazon Prime. And honestly, it's worth the rental. You also find this quite often on, like, HBO Max and Netflix and things when it starts getting into spooky season, right? But honestly, I think this was perfect timing to add this one onto the list because of all the snow. The whole premise of it fits really well for this time of year because here in Florida, we're actually experiencing record lows. We're experiencing
There's
a
been
true
rumor of snow in
snowstorm,
Tampa, and
right?
I'm like, let's go.
Let's see what happens. It's supposed to happen tonight,
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
we'll
We'll
see.
see.
All right.
This is also the first one in our series for February. What is our theme for February?
Madness and mental descent. Or actually, sorry,
Fitness
madness
and
and
moral
moral
descent.
descent.
And this one definitely shows some moral descent.
Oh, 100%. And
Uh,
madness.
oh, madness, but
Yeah.
absolutely. I was thinking more of the morals and a particular scene that we'll get there once we get into the spoiler zone.
All right, so obviously we're heading into the spoiler section of this video. If you have not seen it already, go ahead, go tackle it. Or if you don't mind spoilers, go ahead, join us and see what we have to say about this classic that, again, has been picked apart to pieces over the years. Okay, welcome to the spoiler section of our discussion around The Shining. Just like we have been doing recently, I think we should start this off with a plot synopsis. Let's kind of all start getting back into the world of The Shining. Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic, accepts a job as a winter caretaker for the remote Overlook Hotel, moving his wife Wendy and his young son Danny in with him. Cut off from the outside world for months, the family settles into the vast empty hotel as the winter sets in. Danny has psychic abilities referred to as the Shining, and he begins experiencing disturbing visions connected to the hotel's violent past. As the isolation intensifies, Jack becomes increasingly unstable, struggling with writer's block and struggling to maintain his anger as well. While the hotel's supernatural presence becomes more pronounced, Jack encounters apparitions tied to the Overlook's history, including former caretakers, bartender, and guests. Danny's visions grow more frequent and explicit, revealing cycles of murder and death that occurred within the hotel's walls. Jack eventually descends into violence, attempting to kill Wendy and Danny as the hotel appears to manipulate the environment and prevent their escape. Wendy manages to fight back and flee the hotel with Danny, while Jack pursues Danny through the hedge maze, where he becomes lost and eventually freezes to death. You get a Jack-sicle there at the end. The film concludes with a photograph from 1921 that shows Jack among the past guests of the Overlook Hotel, implying a deeper connection between Jack and the hotel's history.
There's a point in the movie where he does say he felt like he'd been there before, like he felt at ease there once they got to the hotel.
Yeah, there was a scene where he was talking to Wendy and they were talking about first impressions of the hotel. She was like, I don't know, I was kind of scared of the place. And he was like, really? I had this sense like I'd been here before. He's like, everybody gets deja vu, but this was crazy.
And then at the end, they show him in a picture from 1941. 21.
This depiction of this story of Jack and his family going up to the hotel is different than the Stephen King work.
Okay.
So Stephen King originally wrote Jack Torrance as a loving father, as somebody who cares deeply, and the corruption of that at the hotel with the isolation is really kind of the core message of the book. Whereas Kubrick's depiction of Jack is unhinged. He's boiling just underneath the surface before they even get to the hotel. It's like that's his nature. And that's one of the things that King hated about this depiction of The Shining. He felt that Kubrick really tainted the message of the story.
I found that as well when I was looking through, that King wanted a good man destroyed by evil, and Nicholson portrayed a bad situation revealing a bad man. That Jack Torrance was already a crazy person, is the way that Jack Nicholson has described that he invoked that character. He played Jack as unstable from the start of the film. He did not see Jack as a good man, slowly corrupted. His sanity had already cracked. There was a lot of, in his facial expressions, his dark humor, that the Overlook did not create the Overlook did not create his madness. It gave him permission to be mad. Was what I had read about. The inspiration was the big bad wolf.
And they do actually reference
directly in the movie. He had a lot of exaggerated theatrical madness to him. Someone who enjoys being unhinged. So he leaned in on the big facial expressions, sudden mood shifts, dark humor, as I said, and a menacing living side by side. That even his "Here's Johnny" was very terrifying but playful. So Jack Nicholson understood that Kubrick wanted a cold, ironic horror, not a tragedy family drama. Jack was less sympathetic and more of a ticking time bomb.
Interesting take on it. Okay.
So it was a huge difference, because I did find that Nicholson, that Stephen King hated the 1980 movie, didn't want anything to do with it, and then in 1997 that they did another movie.
Yes, King headed that one
and
up.
King headed up, and that one was actually filmed at the Stanley.
Yes.
The Shining, it was not filmed at the Stanley.
No, it was filmed at some hotel in Oregon, right?
Timber something.
Yeah.
It was a place that actually Kubrick liked.
Yes. Now, you just mentioned the Stanley Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you not in the know, which, I mean, at this point, it'd be very difficult to find somebody who's not in the know around this idea to begin with. The Shining, the Overlook Hotel, was originally inspired by Stephen King. He visited the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, and they were shutting it down for the winter. He was there on the last day when they were shutting everything down. He was staying in it, and it inspired him. He started seeing all these people preparing for the winter at the hotel. What would the mental state of somebody in a situation like this be? Now, of course, King, very famously, does a lot of self-inserts through writer characters. So if you look at the movie Misery, for instance, that's all about toxic fandom. Right? Bill Denbrough becomes a writer. He becomes a screenwriter as he grows up. And now this is another classic example of that. Jack Torrance is a writer. So the mentality of a writer isolated with his family with no contact to the outside world, what would that do to a person?
It was also said that he stayed in room 217.
Yes.
And that while he was staying in that room, he had a vicious, horrible nightmare about something happening to, I think, his child, is what I found. And then in the movie, Kubrick turned it into room 237.
Yes, and that's specifically because the hotel it was inspired by, the Stanley Hotel, they do not have a room 237. They do have a room 217, and they did not want people flooding them trying to get to room 217.
Of course, now the Stanley Hotel is extremely popular.
Oh, incredibly popular.
It is actually listed as one of the most haunted hotels in America.
It's been listed in those types of listicles for years, decades at this point.
It was said that when F.O. Stanley opened up the Stanley Hotel, he did it because he had come to Colorado for tuberculosis, and he was so grateful for the healing, that mountain magic air, and I love the mountains, and out of gratitude decided to build this luxury hotel. And then after his death in the 1940, the hotel started to go downwards into ruins. I mean, the travel had changed, winter accommodations, hotel ownerships had changed. However, when the movie The Shining came out, right back up. And boom. To this day, the Stanley Hotel is still in full operation. I actually did not know this about the Stanley, and when I looked it up, they have really embodied and embraced the horror side of it. So there's actually a horror museum at the hotel now. Did not know that. Now, the Stanley is on my list of places to go to, but now finding out that they actually have a horror museum in there, and they do paranormal investigations and paranormal tours and ghost tours. That is so right up my alley. But they are also well known for doing weddings and all that other
Of
conventions and
course,
stuff like that
all the
too.
normal stuff hotels would do.
Yes, they have really taken off and are still a flourishing hotel to this day. And there's still a 217.
Yes, there is. Now, let's start diving into the characters. So, starting off with Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson. And I thought that was funny because the character Jack and Jack Nicholson sharing a name was quite interesting. That actually happens twice in the casting for this.
Yep.
Now, as you mentioned, Jack Nicholson had already tuned in that Kubrick's vision was different, and he starts portraying him as unhinged from frame one.
Mm-hmm.
Very first time that you see him, he's out there, and just like I said, he's bubbling beneath the surface. So we got Jack Nicholson there. Then you had Shelley Duvall playing Wendy Torrance. Honestly, I think a lot of people are still to this point trying to figure out Shelley Duvall's character.
Why do you say that?
Some people see her as naive. Some people see her as a victim, a survivor,
yes,
psychologically unstable. You know, maybe it was all in her head. So she's a very misunderstood character. I think even to this day, people are still debating over what was really going on there. If you go into different Reddit forums, you go online, you go into YouTube video comments on The Shining, you'll see people still talking about Shelley Duvall.
Then what do you think she was?
Honestly, I'm not certain.
Maybe she's a little bit of all of it.
And that's probably why we're still debating it to this day. Because there are those little breadcrumbs of each of those in the portrayal. Then you had Danny Lloyd, who was playing Danny Torrance. So Danny, Jack. I think that's funny when it aligns like that. It was actually very well. The Shining is his psychic trauma, not necessarily superpower. Now, it does have superpower tendencies. It does have its benefits, but it was triggered and brought on through traumatic experiences. He did not actually start experiencing the Shining and the benefits of it until after his attack from his father. And last character that I'm going to talk about, Dick Hallorann.
You love him.
I love Dick Hallorann. I do. He is an amazing character in many different ways, and over multiple portrayals, he is shown to be a person of incredible moral standing. He, in this movie, was played by Scatman Carruthers. He's the mentor archetype. He is the knowledgeable, the guide. And he sacrifices himself in order to try to help Danny and Wendy
get out.
When really all he did that actually did help is he brought the snowcat to them that they could use to escape.
Yes.
Because without him, they were trapped. But that aside, Dick Hallorann, if you actually look into Stephen King's works, depicting him, so on and so forth. Some of it even including like the new series, Welcome to Derry. And you start actually piecing together Dick Hallorann's backstory. A lot of where he gets his power from is from the abuse that he received from his grandfather. It's kind of a proven path almost that the abuse triggers the Shining. It triggers that psychological power.
The Shine is an extreme psychic empathy plus foresight plus memory sensitivity amplified by trauma.
And that is what I've picked up through reading King's works over the years myself as well. Yes, I have actually read the novels. That's an undertaking in and of itself. It is like well over 1,000 pages. The Shining is way up there in the page count too. It is it is an undertaking. It's not something I've done in many years, but I do remember in my mid-20s just going on a binge and reading everything that
Stephen
had.
King, yeah.
Everything.
You are not alone in that. There's lots of people that have gone down the Stephen King rabbit holes. That's what makes him a famous author.
It absolutely is. Now, I will also add a little caveat there. I went down the rabbit hole of Stephen King's horror works. There are also some stories that he did that are not necessarily horror
He's got a
driven.
pen name I've read some stuff under as well.
Yeah, and it's still good, but when I think of Stephen King's works, I think horror.
Shining, It, Cujo,
Christine,
Christine. Right now I'm watching Rose
Carrie,
Red. Oh, Carrie is a good one too.
right? So we've talked about the characters, we've talked about Stephen King and Kubrick, and we've talked about the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So looping back to the hotel, to you, how does the Overlook Hotel feel early on? Does it feel welcoming? Does it feel like this would be a great place to escape?
I would say I feel about how Wendy felt in it when they arrive. It's beautiful, it's stunning. There's the interesting energy of the bustling of shutting it down, people leaving. In the beginning, it's an in awe moment. You're up on this amazing hillside and it's bright, that it's something that in theory I would be like, how mad would I be about being snowed in for 5 months? All food is supplied, everything's taken care of, and we get to live up on a mountaintop for 5 months? In theory, that sounds amazing. And then it turns very dark. So I thought that the Overlook, the Stanley, that it's a welcoming in the beginning. What about you?
I agree with you on all those points. Now, in modern day, I would want to have internet connection. That way I can stream, right? We can watch movies. We can continue to do our uploads, that kind of stuff. But I mean, hell, trap me in a place for 5 months.
I know.
And that's my work? Cool.
But also think about it. Even if it didn't have internet capabilities, do you see that bookcase that's in our other room of books that we haven't? I feel like just pack the bookcase and here we go. Let's rock and roll.
Well, for me, I'm thinking about our audience.
Oh, well, that's great. We could record a lot of stuff and then download it. We'll be back in 5 months with a lot of content. A lot.
So I think we got a feel for how we would feel in this environment. And that's not factoring in the paranormal things, the energy things. That's just the literal building the hotel.
The hotel and being up in the mountains, and just the idea that everything is supplied for you.
Right.
Like, you're not having to worry about food and...
I'm supplied with everything: food, warmth, shelter, and you're paying me?
And you're paying me? Let's go.
Right?
Yes. Because I don't think either you or I are harboring that level of
darkness
no. That, being like, leave me alone, I'm going to the other side of the hotel.
Now, for me, I know me, right? I would probably end up spending a lot of time in the gold room, and I would be on that stage. I would be going back into my theater background, and I'd be up there practicing. I'd be doing my singings, my warm-ups. I would take scripts just to do like one-man plays.
I'd probably want to explore every single room. Just to walk around and,
Yeah, that would definitely be on the list of things to do.
Just on the list. Like, why not? Just, explore all the hallways, wander around, get to go into all the places that you never get to go to in a hotel. I mean, and you probably figure a big hotel like that might have like an indoor pool, or at least a hot tub. Right?
Yeah.
Be like living like millionaires in the mountains.
On that note, do you think that Jack ever feels like he would want to leave this space? So he gets there, he gets the family there, he gets established, and he's supposed to give back control of the hotel on May 1st. Do you think he would, had he made it that far?
I think he would have had a hard time leaving. I think he would have had a really hard time coming down out of the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Just let me finish my book. Just let me. But it was just the same words over and over and over and over.
I do love that too. because also they specifically added in misspellings, extra
Oh,
letters,
did
all that
they?
stuff. Did you pick up on that?
No.
Right? There's like all
Oh,
work and no
jeez.
play, all work and no play.
Oh my gosh. My brain just, because I read it all work and no play,
You just filled the
I
gaps,
just filled the gaps in.
right?
I love it though.
Right?
I love it. I also did think that it was very, of course, the character that Jack Torrance is doesn't surprise me, but he's supposed to be the caregiver, the caretaker of the property. But it's Wendy doing all the work. He's over there bouncing a ball against the wall, trying to not have writer's block, and she's the one that's actually taking care of the hotel.
We never do see him doing any maintenance.
Any of the maintenance.
We do see her doing some, though.
Mhm.
Walking around with the clipboard, making sure
Mhm.
everything's blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And when you brought that up as we were watching it, I said jokingly, well, she has to make sure he's supported so that he can be a successful writer.
Well, she is definitely the uber supportive wife to a fault.
Oh, to a
To a
drastic
fault.
fault.
Because she does say it in there, and she tells the story about how Danny got hurt in his shoulder when his dad was drunk and pulled too hard on him. And we
That's
had
the
to,
type of thing you do to a kid hundreds of times. It was an accident.
and I can see the naiveness in that and why people would dispute that. And then Danny gets hurt again now by an entity in the hotel. She immediately accuses her husband of doing it.
Of course.
And which, I mean, who, rightfully so. You're in a hotel with nobody
Where
else
no one
around.
else is.
Your child just shows up with marks on him, and your husband's acting like a fool again. What are you gonna do? And there was that shift in it for me, because I started watching her as the mother figure. Like, what are you going to do? You are now out here in the mountains. You have no support system, no lifeline that you're aware of, and your husband may have again harmed your child. So getting them out of the situation and then trying to protect them, but also being kind of a knife wielding. How many times we've watched this movie over the years, and there's a scene where Jack's taunting her. He's coming up the stairs at her, and he's like, yeah, come on. And she's like, don't touch, stop. And I'm like, just whack him. Like, it's on the bottom side of the stairs. Just whack. And she finally does. She finally gets him enough of a little whack. And I'm like, oh. And then they show her like muscling, dragging the body through. I was like, okay, that's where like some badass strength like amps up for her, because she's realized she's got to do something with this guy because he's really a harm.
So you mentioned the stairs scene with the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That scene is one of the most infamous scenes in cinematic production history.
Why is that?
They filmed that scene
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of times, to the point where Shelley Duvall was legitimately under duress, under stress.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where what I mentioned during the opening, where Kubrick becomes a questionable human being.
He was almost a perfectionist in some of the things that I read, and he
was beyond a perfectionist.
I think that there's some sort of record that
he was abusive.
He was abusive, and there was reportings that he was really not good to Shelley Duvall.
Yes.
And there's like some sort of record of 127 takes on one scene, and he would just
that's that scene.
Oh, and he would just push and just people were exhausted and traumatized.
Yep.
And so not only did she take abuse from people trying to figure out her character in this movie, but while developing and creating that character, she had the director all over her, just do it better, be more scared. And she had a lot of PTSD from that, from what I understood.
There was that scene and the scene with the bathroom door.
Oh man,
those scenes were shot in a way like that by Kubrick that was traumatizing,
Mhm.
like very intentionally
Mhm.
traumatizing. He
Mhm.
did it on purpose
Hmm.
because he wanted that visceral feeling from it, and you can feel it.
Mhm. But then what's interesting in the same note is I read something along the way that while he was so ucky to Shelley Duvall, that he also, in the same note, really kept Danny Torrance, in the dark about what kind of movie this was and really shielded him from the horrors of it. And years later, Danny Lloyd had said he didn't really even know
He
he
didn't
was
know.
making a horror movie.
Yeah,
So, how wild is that you're like this to an adult, but does that make him a little less of a jackass? I don't know.
I don't know. And I do wonder how he was with Jack Nicholson. I've never really heard any bad reports
Mm-mm.
of Jack and Stanley
Mm-mm.
in interaction,
Mm-mm.
but I've definitely heard the Shelley Duvall
The Shelley
stories,
Duvall
like
one.
the horror stories from it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that does actually make me wonder if that is the case. Let's say that he was good to Jack Nicholson on set, and to Shelley, he was kind of monstrous.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's part of the reason why this movie has one of the underlying themes that it does.
Mm.
Think about it from a cultural dynamic standpoint. This movie, one of the things that it does is it highlights a male driven benefit, a male driven dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Jack's the one calling all the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Jack's the one who's the strong one. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna make everything good. It's his work that matters. Hers doesn't at all.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't contribute anything. He is always trying to make it work. She's just getting in his way.
And
It's that male dominant mindset.
mm-hmm.
That's I'm curious if that is the way that Stanley was with his actors,
Mm-hmm.
because he had his hands in writing the screenplay for this too.
Mm-hmm.
If that was because of him
Mm-hmm.
that it was portrayed that way.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting in the aspect too, because like I said, you don't see Jack Torrance doing any of the work. You see her doing it. You see her all the way at the other side of the hotel prepping food and then doing a little cart thing across the hotel to bring him breakfast in bed. So, yes, there really was that she was more the lower than.
Yeah, almost servant-ish.
Mm-hmm. Which is, again, I can see how people brutalized her for being the naive character.
Yeah.
But she was also a badass mom by the end. I mean, she was trying to save her and her son. She was trying.
She was
And she
trying. She
succeeded.
was. She
She
did
succeeds.
succeed.
She succeeds.
She did. So I mentioned the masculinity and control element to this movie, one of the themes. What do you think on the theme of cyclical violence that is in this movie? This movie has a ton of layers, by the way. The cyclical violence, what I'm meaning by that is the cycle of violence that seems to surround this particular location. So it was an Indian burial ground. They were fighting off Indians as they were, or Native Americans, as they were building the hotel, as they were getting it up. And then as we discover some of the history of the hotel, you hear about people being murdered, drowned, all these things. And you see that reflected in the ghosts, the energies and the entities that are still there. And now all of a sudden you have Jack and his family furthering that cycle. What do you think on that?
Sometimes people just get called to bad places for some reason. We don't really understand why in life. And Jack already seemed to have some sort of negativity going around him. They never actually said why he stopped being a school teacher. They moved from Vermont to Colorado, and he was already a bad man that got to go to a place that allowed him to be a bad person and allowed for it to set up a scene for him to unleash all that he had been feeling inside. Does that make sense?
Oh, fully. For me, I think, and this is in my head, just theorizing, I think that he lost his teaching position because of what happened with Danny.
Mm. Oh, that would make sense if the school board found out that he was responsible for hurting his child, which is also why she was so. It was just an accident. It's just
He was so defensive
of
of
a
it.
him.
Yeah.
I cannot say I would be as defensive of something of that caliber,
No, absolutely.
personally. Like, but they also say he, as in Jack Torrance, says she just won't let it go. It was 3 years ago. Well, kind of hurt the child. You don't really get, I think, a full pardon on that.
No, you'll always be monitored,
Exactly.
right? Not necessarily directly punished all the time, but watched.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, I think that this film's depiction of that cyclic violence like that could thematically also be a representation of American history's cycles of cyclic violence.
Mm-hmm.
So things like genocide,
Mm-hmm.
the Native Americans,
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence cycles, generational domestic violence
Mhm.
cycles, alcoholism.
Oh, and that was really pointed out in this one.
It really
Because he was drunk when he did it, and then now he hasn't had a drink in 5 months. And then when he has his first drink, he's like, "That was a waste of 5 months. Like, this is better."
Yeah, it's that cycle of just slipping back, falling back into old habits. Because they are socially isolated, he no longer has that pressure of trying to uphold an image for the rest of society.
He is
He can
completely.
release and let it all go.
And
Be himself.
Oh my gosh, he treats
He
his
treats
wife
her so bad.
horribly, and the way he speaks to her is just
Absolutely deplorable.
the first time that he would have spoken to me like that. I'd be like, "Really? Bye!" And down and out the mountain I would have been, because that was so uncalled for. But again, it's that she's in a domestic violent relationship. I mean, she's obviously seen things that could come out of him before and is aware of it, so she kind of shrinks to him.
She really does. She really takes the submissive role in this, where she's like, okay, let me just, if this is how he wants it done, I'm gonna do it this way. And that's something actually that we've talked about before in different videos, very specifically our Heretic video from months ago. We were talking about how do you deal with a overpowering force like that, and you see two dynamics in that movie. You see one that actually fights back, and then you see the more kind of submissive, placating, and yeah, Wendy definitely falls into that role here. She's definitely that, okay, well, I'm just gonna try to make sure everything's okay, when really it's never going to be.
Not going to be. And it's just accelerating at this point.
It really is.
'Cause they do break it down. They're like, it's been a month, but now we're on Monday. And then it's like a couple of days. So it's just this tension building over a few days. And because you could easily lose track of time being in the mountains like that, every once in a while Kubrick puts up, it's now Tuesday.
Reminder, time is real. Okay. In this movie, you really have the four main characters that I talked about before. You've got Jack Torrance, you've got Wendy Torrance, Stanley Torrance, and Dick Halloran. All four of them view the Overlook Hotel in different ways. Who do you think understands the Overlook Hotel the most?
Dick.
Really? Explain.
Well, one, he works there. Two, he has the gift of the shine. And I think that working on the property and knowing the hotel, knowing its history, and being inside of it, you're going to know the lay of the land and the heart of it more so than the Torrances that just met the hotel. Danny may have a little bit of more of an insight than Wendy or Jack because of his shine, but when it comes down to those four, I would say it's Dick that understands the hotel.
With as much as I love Dick Halloran's character,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I'm
Would you
going to
like me
say
to get
that
you
he
some
doesn't.
horns?
No. I'm going to say that Danny actually understands the hotel more.
Okay. Explain.
As Dick and Danny are talking at the beginning over the bowl of ice cream, they're talking about the hotel, they're talking about all this stuff. Dick specifically calls out that, no, I'm not scared of this place.
But Danny knows he is.
Danny knows that he is. Danny understands something about the dynamic that Dick does not. Because Dick is also experiencing the hotel while other people are there, being distraction, having other psychic energies, and etc. I think that Danny truly has a better understanding of the Overlook Hotel.
You're so right. That would make sense. The ice cream scene, because even though Danny and Tony, the little boy that lives in my mouth, yeah, you just blew my mind because you're right. I jumped on it. I'm like, he has the shine. But little Danny came in and was like able to pick up on what this adult is trying to hide and doesn't fully understand about the hotel.
And to be honest with you, I'm a little surprised that you didn't pick up on that, because that was actually a major plot point in Doctor Sleep, was that Danny walking into that hotel was like a 10,000 volt generator just going off, lighting it up.
They say that Danny's gift is so
So
strong that it lights up. No, that's an extremely valid point. You really called me out on that one. That's a valid clarity that absolutely that Danny's gift is so strong that he would know the ins and outs. I wanted to touch base on the end of the movie. Now, I found myself watching this again in between you nudging me to stay awake. How much sympathy in the moral collapse that I had for Danny at the end of the movie. Now, we've talked about that Wendy's character, what kind of mother was she? And you're watching as she's put Danny out the window in the hotel. She's scooped him outside. Jack's coming after them. And in her frantic and all of this, and Jack's gone the other way, she's like, oh, I have a child out there. Like, I have to go find him. And from the mother's standpoint, there was this panic in me because here my husband just come after me with an axe, and my child is now, I've pushed my child out the window into the snow, but then the next scene they're showing Danny runs back inside to hide. This massive hotel, and I don't know where my child is, and my husband's gone and has an axe. Like, that to me just made me panicked. And then Danny is out in the hedge and in the snow. He runs back out and his dad is chasing him. And that kind of horror to me, that moral collapse of a father tormenting and chasing their child through the snow and in the dark, was infuriating to me and terrifying for me, because I just couldn't even imagine. And we live in a world of horrors and the things where I've heard real life cases of a parent chasing down their child. And thinking about that, that not being the parent to protect your child, to me, is so horrific. And being in a turning point that you are chasing your child, I thought was probably the worst part for me.
That just speaks to what I know of you as not just as a person, but as a motherly figure, as a woman. You are very mama bear. You
Yeah.
are very mama bear. And that is, again, something we've talked about before on the show. I've seen how defensive and how protective you get and can be. But you also have the other end of the spectrum with some women who are in that motherly role. She's more so in shock. It's not that she's not wanting to be a good protective mother. She's just in shock, and she's confused, and she's emotionally exhausted from this experience. So she is reacting. She's not necessarily like thoughtfully planning out her next move. She doesn't have
The next move.
the next move figured out. She is just, where do I go? What? And that's a more, I think, bare bones human survival response instead of the protective mother response, which I could see you having the protective mother response, not that bare bones human survival.
Yes, because I would have ran down the stairs after I pushed you down the stairs as he was going, I'm gonna bash your brains in. I've been, really? Who's getting their brains bashed in now?
With like that cartoon sound effect, bonk.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my love, I think my final question for you in regards to The Shining. Jack chasing Danny through the hedge maze and chasing his family through the hotel. Do you think he was really hunting his family? Or do you think he was searching for the control that he had already lost?
I want to say he was hunting his family. He was like a madman, just letting loose. He was having a jolly good time being a psycho.
I agree. Well, either way, I think that about wraps up our conversation around The Shining. Let us know in the comments below if you agree with us on this movie, if you have something else you want to add into the conversation, if you want to theorize down there. Let us know what you thought of Shelley Duvall's character. In fact, actually, I'll leave you with the question. The final photograph at the end, is that closure, or is it proof that the cycle will continue? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell so that you get all the notifications. And until next time, stay weird.